Brennan Hollis sat alone in the neutral space cantina, his shoulders heavy, his eyes half-closed from long hours in the cockpit. He was a cargo pilot, the kind who flew through empty routes and silent sectors where no one bothered to talk. Tonight was supposed to be different. His sister had convinced him to meet someone. A blind date, a terrible idea, he thought, but he had agreed just to stop her from worrying. Now he waited at a small metal table, tapping one finger against the surface as the low music thumped through the room. The cantina lights glowed a soft amber, shining over groups of travelers from many species. Some laughed loudly, others whispered in their own languages. No one paid attention to the tired human sitting alone. Brennan stared at his drink, wondering why he had come at all. Dates never went well for him. People did not like quiet men with old scars. Even his smile felt crooked. He checked the time again. Maybe the woman had already decided not to come. Maybe she took one look at him from afar and walked away. That would not surprise him. He thought about standing up and leaving. He could head back to his small bunk, sleep, and tell his sister the date was fine. No one would know the truth. He sighed and lifted his glass. But then the cantina door swished open with a sharp sound. Brennan did not look up at first. People came in and out all the time. But then the noise in the room shifted. Voices dropped. Chairs stopped moving. Something unusual had entered. Brennan slowly raised his eyes. There, walking between the tables, was a small dragon girl. She was no taller than his waist, maybe younger than 10 human years. Her scales were soft purple with speckles of silver. 2 tiny horns curled from her head, and her wings folded neatly against her back. She carried a bright yellow satchel decorated with glowing stickers. She looked around with a serious expression, as if searching for someone important. The cantina fell quiet as creatures from many worlds stared at her. No one expected a young dragon child here, especially alone. The girl spotted Brennan. Her eyes lit up, wide and golden. Without hesitation, she marched toward him. "Hello," she announced. Before Brennan could react, she placed both hands on the edge of his table and climbed right onto it as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Plates rattled. His drink nearly tipped over. Hey," Brennan said, confused. "Can I help you?" She sat cross-legged on the table, her tail thumping softly. "You are Brennan Hollis." He blinked. "Yes." She nodded firmly. "Good. I am Pipper. Mama Dragon is sick, so I came instead." Brennan stared at her, completely unsure what she meant. "Instead of what?" "Instead of the blind date." She tilted her head. "You were supposed to meet Mama, but she could not get up today. She said she was dizzy and her chest hurt, so I said I would come. I climbed out the window, but it was not far down." Brennan nearly choked on his breath. "You climbed out a window?" "Yes," she said proudly. "Mama told me not to do that again, but I needed to be brave. She needs someone nice to talk to. She is very lonely, you know." He looked around. The entire cantina was watching. Whispers spread. A human man being approached by a dragon child was not something seen every day. "Pipper," he said softly. "Maybe your mother didn't want you to come here alone." Pipper swung her legs. "She did not. But she does not want many things. She does not want to rest. She does not want to stop working. She does not want to eat all the time. She is sad. I can tell. So I try to help. Today I help by coming here." Brennan had no idea what to do. This was supposed to be a simple date, maybe an awkward conversation. Then he would go home. Instead, he had a small dragon girl sitting on his table explaining her mother's feelings. "I think," Pipper continued, tapping her claws together, "that you might be a good person. Mama said the blind date was arranged by your family, so maybe they think you are good too. I wanted to see if you are." "So?" She leaned closer, studying his face. "Are you good?" Brennan felt something shift inside him. Not big, not dramatic, just a small warmth he had not felt in a long time. He cleared his throat. "I try to be." Pipper smiled, revealing small, sharp teeth. "That is enough." She reached for his drink, sniffed it, made a face and pushed it away. "This smells like sadness. You should drink something sweeter." Brennan laughed quietly. A real laugh. He was surprised by it. Okay, he said. What do you want to drink? Pipper pointed excitedly. The pink fizzy one. The one with bubbles that pop on your tongue. He waved to the server and ordered the drink. Pipper clapped happily, her wings fluttering. When the glass arrived, she pressed her face close, fascinated by the rising bubbles. Thank you, she said in a soft voice. Mama says gratitude is important. You're welcome, Brennan replied. Pipper took a sip and sighed with joy. Yes, much better than sadness drink. Brennan looked at her bright eyes and fearless honesty. He had come here expecting nothing but awkward silence. Instead, he found himself watching over a child who trusted him without hesitation. The cantina slowly returned to its usual noise, but something had already changed. Brennan felt it. The night was no longer quiet, no longer empty. A new direction had opened, unexpected and strange. And it began with a little dragon girl who came to a blind date in her mother's place. Brennan did not expect to see the little dragon girl again, but the next morning proved him wrong. After returning from a short cargo drop and cleaning up the cockpit, he walked through the station's market level, thinking only about food and sleep. He turned a corner, and there she was. Pipper stood on a crate, waving both arms wildly. "Brennan Hollis!" she shouted. Several people turned to look. Brennan felt heat rise in his face as he hurried toward her. "Pipper? What are you doing out here alone again?" She hopped off the crate and adjusted her yellow satchel. "I am not alone. The crate was with me." He sighed. "That's not the same thing." "I know," she said, then pointed to a stall nearby. "I was buying greens for Mama. The shopkeeper said I should not be out without an adult. So I said I have one." "You?" Brennan blinked. "Me? Yes, because you gave me the pink fizzy drink. That makes you responsible." He rubbed his forehead. "That is not how that works." But Pipper only grinned. "Come with me. Mama needs these greens. She says they help her breathe better." Brennan hesitated. He had work to finish, reports to send, repairs to schedule. But Pipper's hopeful expression tugged at him. She held the greens tightly, her tail curled close to her legs. She looked small, smaller than she had last night. "Okay," he said. "I'll walk you home." Pipper brightened instantly and began talking the moment they started walking. "Mama works in the hydroponic gardens. She grows herbs and colors and fluffy leaves for the station kitchens. She likes plants more than people. But she does not like being sick. Sickness makes her sad. The doctor said she needs to rest. But she does not rest because then she remembers Papa." Brennan slowed a little. "Your father?" Pipper nodded. "Kelleth. He was brave. He worked outside the station, fixing the shield panels. One day the storm hit and he did not come back. Mama cried for many days. I cried too. I still cry sometimes, but only when I am very tired." Her voice stayed calm, but Brennan felt the weight behind it. "I'm sorry," he said gently. Pipper looked up. "It is okay. Mama says feeling sad is normal. But she also says talking helps. So I talk a lot." Brennan almost smiled. "Yes, I noticed." She skipped ahead, pointing at lights, doors, and signs as they passed. "This hallway smells like soup. This part of the floor makes funny sounds. That door is always stuck. Oh, and that shop sells sweet seeds. They get stuck in your teeth, but the good stuck." Brennan listened quietly, letting her voice fill the space between them. When they reached the residential wing, Pipper stopped in front of a metal door with peeling paint. She knocked twice, then 3 times, then twice again. "That is the code," she whispered. "Mama says it keeps bad people away, but it is also just a fun pattern." The door opened. Standing there was a tall dragon woman with pale lavender scales, dimmer than Pipper's bright purple. Her eyes were tired, her movements unsteady. She wore a work apron covered in garden soil, and her breathing sounded rough, like it scraped her throat. The moment she saw Pipper, her expression changed from confusion to shock. "Pipper, you left again? You cannot do that," she cried. Pipper held up the greens. "I got the breath herbs, Mama. I remembered the list. The woman looked from her daughter to Brennan, then back, then sighed deeply and rubbed her forehead. I am so sorry, she said, her voice weak but sincere. She slipped out while I was resting. She has been restless since. The woman stopped herself. Thank you for bringing her home. Brennan shook his head. It's all right. She found me. She finds everyone, the woman murmured, giving Pipper a weary but gentle look. Little wanderer. Pipper puffed her chest. I wandered smartly. You wandered dangerously, her mother corrected. Then she looked at Brennan again. Please, come inside a moment. I should thank you properly. Brennan almost refused. He did not know these people. He did not want to intrude. But Pipper tugged his sleeve. Come in, she insisted. We have fruit tea. It warms the heart. Against his better judgment, Brennan stepped inside. Their home was small but warm, filled with hanging plants and soft lights. Colorful drawings covered one wall, Pipper's, clearly. A large cushion rested in the center with blankets shaped like dragon wings. Sit, Pipper said, pointing to a chair too small for him. He found a sturdier one. Tavi returned. Brennan assumed that was her name, carrying 3 steaming cups. She set one in front of him. Thank you, she said softly. I am Tavi. I heard about the date misunderstanding. I am very sorry. I was not well. Pipper should not have gone. Brennan took a careful sip of the tea. It's fine. Really. She told me you were kind to her. Pipper leaned on the table. He bought me pink fizzy drink, and he did not look annoyed even when I talked a lot. Brennan coughed lightly. I was surprised. Tavi smiled. Just a little. Pipper is honest. Sometimes too honest. Honesty helps, Pipper argued. Brennan found himself relaxing. The warmth of the tea, the soft lights, and the gentle plants made the small home feel safer than any cantina. Mama, Pipper said suddenly, can he visit again? He is very good at walking and carrying things and listening. Tavi looked alarmed. Pipper, only if he wants, Pipper added quickly. Brennan glanced between them. Tavi's eyes held a mix of embarrassment and hope, though she tried to hide it. I wouldn't mind visiting, he said. Pipper's tail whipped with excitement. Good. Then you will come tomorrow. Mama needs rest and I need someone to show my rock collection. Tavi groaned softly. Pipper, slow down. But Brennan just laughed. Softly, unexpectedly. And in that small home full of plants and warm light, something in him settled. He had not planned to care. Yet here he was. And he would come back. Tavi did not mean to fall asleep, but the fever made her body heavy and slow. She had planned to rest for only a few minutes after Pipper returned from her morning lessons. Instead, she drifted into a deep, aching sleep full of strange dreams and flashes of bright light. When she woke, the room was dim, and Pipper was nowhere in sight. Panic struck instantly. Pipper? Tavi called, her voice cracking. No answer. She pushed herself up, gripping the wall for balance. The room spun. Her legs trembled. She checked the kitchen, the small bedroom, the balcony garden. Nothing. Pipper's yellow satchel was missing. Tavi's pulse raced. She had warned her daughter not to wander. She had told her not to go far while she was sick. But Pipper was brave and curious, too curious. Fear tightened Tavi's chest. Memories of losing Kelleth flashed through her mind. She could not lose Pipper too. She would not survive it. She stepped into the hallway, dizzy but determined. She asked neighbors, stall keepers, and anyone walking by. Most shook their heads. A few said they had not seen Pipper today. Then one old vendor pointed toward the market. She was talking to a human man yesterday, he said. Maybe she went to find him. Tavi frowned. A human man? Quiet fellow. Brown jacket. Tired eyes. Brennan. Tavi sighed, embarrassed and relieved at the same time. She hoped Pipper had not bothered him again. She made her way toward the market, each step shaky. She refused to stop, even when her breath came shallow. When she reached the open plaza, she spotted 2 figures near the tea stall. One tall and human, one small and purple. Pipper was laughing so loudly several shoppers turned to look. Tavi closed her eyes briefly, gathering her strength, then walked toward them. "Pipper," she said, breathless. Pipper spun around, wings fluttering. "Mama, look, Brennan bought me a seed bun. It crunches but good crunch." Tavi barely heard her. She was staring at Brennan, at the man she had been supposed to meet on the blind date arranged by her neighbor. She had been too sick to go, too overwhelmed, too afraid of pretending she was ready for something she wasn't. And now he was here, holding her daughter's hand so she wouldn't dart into the crowd. "I am so sorry," Tavi said, words tumbling. She slipped out again. "I did not mean for her to bother you." Brennan shook his head immediately. "She's not bothering me. She found me while I was getting supplies. She just talks a lot." Pipper gasped. "Talking helps." Brennan smiled slightly. "Yeah, it does." Tavi swayed on her feet. Brennan noticed at once and stepped forward. "You're not okay," he said, concern in his voice. "You shouldn't be walking around." "I am fine," Tavi insisted, even as her knees weakened. "I just need to get Pipper home." "I'll walk you both," Brennan said. Tavi wanted to refuse, but another wave of dizziness hit. Brennan caught her elbow gently. She looked at him, really looked. He had kind eyes, even if tired. And Pipper trusted him. That alone meant something. "Thank you," she whispered. As they walked, Pipper skipped between them, talking nonstop. "This hallway has the soup smell again." Brennan stepped on the funny tile. "Mama, did you know Brennan used to fly rescue ships? He saved people from storms, and fires, and falling rocks. He is a very good human." Brennan nearly choked. "Pipper, please." "I asked him," Pipper continued proudly, "and he told me, so now I know everything." Tavi glanced at him in surprise. "You flew rescue missions?" Brennan rubbed the back of his neck. "A long time ago." "That is brave work," Tavi said softly. "Dangerous," he corrected. "Brave," she repeated. He looked away, unsure how to answer. When they reached the residential wing, Pipper rushed ahead to unlock the door. Brennan helped steady Tavi until they were inside. She moved to her small kitchen, leaning on the counter. "I am truly sorry," she said again. "Pipper is kind, but she does not understand danger." Pipper popped her head out of the bedroom. "I understand some danger. I do not lick power outlets." Tavi groaned. "Pipper, please do not say things like that in front of guests." Brennan hid a smile. "Can I make you tea?" he asked. "You are a guest," Tavi said. "You're sick," he countered. She hesitated, then nodded. While he boiled water, Pipper climbed onto a stool and whispered loudly, "Mama, I think he is nice. Very nice. He listens with his whole face." Brennan pretended not to hear. Tavi sat carefully on a cushion. "Pipper," she said gently, "you frightened me. You must not leave without me." Pipper's ears lowered. "I am sorry, Mama, but I wanted to show Brennan the seed buns. And also the tea with the popping bubbles. And also the—" "Pipper." "Yes, I am sorry." Brennan brought the tea to the table. Tavi wrapped her hands around the cup, warming her trembling claws. She looked up at him. "Thank you. Truly." He shrugged. "Anyone would have helped." "No," she said softly. "Not everyone." Pipper curled beside her mother, leaning against her side. Tavi stroked her daughter's head with slow, tired movements. "You should rest," Brennan said. She sighed. "I know." He glanced around the home, at the plants drooping from lack of care, the tools left scattered, the dishes untouched. "If you need help with anything, I can come by tomorrow," he said, the words surprising even him. Pipper's tail thumped excitedly. "Yes, come tomorrow." Tavi's eyes softened. "You do not have to." "I know," he said, "but I will." Pipper beamed. And for the first time in many months, Tavi felt something warm beneath the worry, something gentle. Hope. Brennan followed Pipper through the quiet hallway behind the cantina. The lights were soft and low, and the place smelled like metal and warm food. Pipper walked with small, quick steps. Her tail moved side to side as she guided him. He was not sure why he was following her so easily, but something about her felt honest. They reached a small storage room. Inside, crates were stacked high, and a small lantern glowed on a box. Pipper climbed onto the crate, and Saturday she looked tired, but she still tried to smile. Brennan stayed near the door. He did not want to scare her. He spoke slowly. "You said your mother is sick. What happened?" Pipper folded her wings tight against her back. "My mother works on a science ship," she said. "They study old things they find in space. 2 weeks ago, they found a strange metal piece. When they touched it, it opened and released a gray dust. The dust spread so fast. Almost everyone on the ship got sick, including my mother." Brennan frowned. "Gray dust? Like a gas?" "Yes," Pipper said. "But it acts like it thinks. It follows warm bodies. It gets inside the skin. It makes the body weak. The doctors cannot find a cure." Her small voice shook a little. Brennan stepped closer. "What does this have to do with me?" Pipper looked at him with large orange eyes. "I heard you bring cargo to many systems. You know routes others do not use. I need to go to my mother's ship, but I cannot travel alone. I hoped you could help me reach her." Brennan took a deep breath. This was not how blind dates usually went. His life was already hard. He lived from job to job, carrying boxes and crates across space. He did not want danger. He did not want trouble. But he looked at Pipper and saw fear mixed with hope. He rubbed his forehead. "Kid, that ship of yours, where is it now?" Pipper opened a small device. A blue map floated in the air. "They are hiding near the drift line. The council told them to stay there until help arrives. But help is slow. Very slow." Brennan stared at the map. The drift line was far from neutral space. No safe ports. No patrol ships. No easy path. "You're asking me to fly into a quarantine zone," he said. Pipper nodded. "Yes, I know it is dangerous. But I must see my mother." Brennan sat on a crate and sighed loudly. "Look, Pipper. I am not a hero. I am not even brave. I just move boxes and hope no one shoots at me. I cannot take big risks." Pipper lowered her head. Her tail curled around her legs. "I understand. I thought maybe you would help because you came. You sat and waited." Those words hit him harder than he expected. He had no real reason to come tonight. His sister forced him. He almost canceled. Yet here he was, sitting in a dark storage room with a small dragon girl who trusted him for no good reason. He sighed again. "I came because my sister said I needed to meet someone good. I thought she was wrong. Maybe she wasn't." Pipper looked up slowly. "Does that mean you will help?" Brennan closed his eyes for a moment. He knew this was a bad idea. He knew he would regret it. But he also knew he could not walk away from a child who needed him. "I will take you," he said quietly. "But we have to be careful. Very careful." Pipper jumped from the crate and landed with a soft thump. She looked brighter, like a small light glowing. "Thank you. Thank you, Brennan." He raised a hand. "Hey, calm down. Before we go anywhere, I need to know everything. How did you reach this station alone? Dragons are not common here." Pipper sat again. "After the sickness started, my mother sent me away with her friend, a pilot. He dropped me at this station. He said someone safe would meet me, but he had to leave fast. He could not wait." Brennan crossed his arms. "Someone safe me?" Pipper nodded. "My mother said you were good. She met you once many months ago. You helped her carry boxes when everyone else walked away. She remembered you." Brennan blinked. He did not remember that moment. He helped many people all the time. It was normal for him. But the idea that a small act brought him here now felt strange. He stood up. "All right, we need supplies, and we need to leave before someone reports you. Dragonkind are rare, and rare things get attention." Pipper hopped down and grabbed his sleeve gently. "I will follow you." As they stepped out of the storage room, the hallway felt different. Darker, quieter. Brennan felt eyes on them, though he saw no one. "Stay close," he whispered. Pipper moved beside him, her wings tucked tight. Together they walked back toward the main cantina, but something made Brennan stop. A shadow moved near the corner. Slow, heavy, not human. Brennan whispered, "Pipper! Someone is watching us." Pipper's small claws tightened on his sleeve. Far down the hallway, a deep metallic voice spoke. "The child is not to leave this station." Brennan felt his blood turn cold, and he knew their trouble had only just begun. Part 5. Brennan Hollis did not plan to become part of Tavi and Pipper's daily life. It just happened, slowly, quietly, like a small light that grows brighter without anyone noticing. One day he stopped by their home only to bring back a tool Pipper had borrowed. The next day he returned because Tavi mentioned a broken heater panel. After that, he found himself carrying fresh plant crates from the hydroponic garden so Tavi did not have to lift heavy things alone. Every visit felt natural, like breathing, and every time he walked through their door, the little home felt warmer than the empty cargo ship he returned to each night. Pipper was the boldest about welcoming him. She always ran to him with new treasures. One day she brought out a rock collection she kept in a small metal box. "Look, this one is shiny like your ship lights, and this one looks like a dragon tooth, and this one smells weird. Don't sniff it." Brennan listened to everything she said. He examined every rock, nodded at every story, and allowed himself to laugh when she puffed smoke in excitement. Pipper began introducing him proudly to other families in the garden district. "This is my friend Brennan. He used to save people before he flew boring cargo boxes." She always said it with her chest puffed out. Brennan never corrected her. Even when people looked at him with surprise or respect, he only shrugged. He did not feel like a hero. He felt like a man trying to live quietly after too many loud years. Meanwhile, Tavi watched him from a distance sometimes, her eyes soft but thoughtful. She noticed how gently he handled Pipper's claws when she jumped on him. She noticed how he always knocked before entering, even when she told him he did not need to. She noticed how he stood with his shoulders lowered around them, no longer stiff, as if the weight he always carried was slowly lifting. One afternoon, when he arrived to fix a loose balcony rail, Tavi stood beside him and said, "You do not have to keep helping us so much, Brennan." He tightened a bolt and shook his head. "I want to. Besides, it gives me something useful to do." Tavi's tail curled lightly around her ankle, a small sign of shyness. "You are already useful," she said softly. "To us." Brennan did not know how to answer. He had heard praise before, but this felt different. Honest, warm, close. As days passed, Tavi and Brennan exchanged small gifts without ceremony. He brought soup when she was still recovering from her illness. In return, Tavi sent Pipper to deliver a calming plant from her people's tradition, saying it might help him sleep. Every night he breathed in the scent before bed, and little by little, the nightmares that haunted him came less often. Sometimes Tavi taught him calming breathing used by her people. She placed a small flower in front of him and told him to inhale its scent slowly, then exhale with purpose. "It is good for carrying grief," she said once. He did not ask how she knew he carried any. She was too kind to push, and he was too grateful for her silence. One evening Pipper begged him to visit early so she could show him something new. She pulled him to the garden district, where she had built a tiny model home out of old boxes and glowing crystals. "This is Mama," she said, pointing to a rock with painted eyes. "And this is me," she poked a smaller one. "And this tall rock is you." Brennan blinked. "Me? Yes, you visit a lot, so I added you." She said it like it was the most natural thing in the universe. Tavi looked embarrassed, but Brennan only smiled gently. "I like my rock," he said. Pipper cheered as if he had passed a big test. Later that same evening, after Pipper rushed off to play with other children, Tavi remained at his side, her wings folded tight against her back. "I hope she is not overwhelming you," she said. "She's the best part of my day," Brennan admitted without thinking. Tavi froze for a moment, surprise flickering across her face. Then she smiled, slow and soft, like someone letting themselves feel safe for the first time in a long while. As weeks turned into months, Their bond deepened without a single dramatic moment. Instead, it formed through small things: shared meals, quiet evenings, laughter over Pipper's endless questions, and comfortable silences on the balcony as station lights glowed in the distance. Brennan found himself looking forward to every visit. He repaired whatever was broken before Tavi even asked. He carried crates before anyone else could. He picked up Pipper from school when Tavi worked late. No one told him to do these things. He simply wanted to, and slowly Tavi let herself lean. She let him carry heavy supplies. She let him lift Pipper when she fell asleep in the gardens. She let herself laugh at his small jokes and let her worry ease when he was near. For the first time since Kelleth died, she felt like her home was growing full again. For the first time since the war, Brennan felt like he belonged somewhere. Neither of them said the words aloud, but even Pipper could sense it. She watched them with a knowing look, her tail swishing like she understood a secret they had not spoken yet. And Brennan, without realizing it, was already becoming part of their family. Part 6. The station lights dimmed into their evening cycle when Brennan arrived at Tavi's home. He expected to help with repairing a loose door hinge or maybe carrying a crate from the gardens. Instead, he found Pipper already in bed early, wrapped in a blanket, her wings tucked in close. She had fallen asleep while telling a story, Tavi whispered. With Pipper asleep, the home felt quieter, gentler, the kind of quiet that invited truth. Tavi stepped onto the balcony and Brennan followed. The cool station air hummed softly with distant machinery. Below them, the glow of the hydroponic gardens lit the darkness like small green stars. For a while, neither of them spoke. Finally, Tavi rested her hands on the railing and said in a low, steady voice, "This time of year is hard." She paused, swallowing. "It is when Kelleth passed." Brennan did not move. He simply stood close enough that she knew he was listening. Tavi continued, her eyes fixed on the glowing gardens. "He worked long shifts. He said he would be fine. He always said that. Then one day he did not come home." Her breath shook, just once. They said it was sudden. An accident. No warning. Brennan felt something inside him tighten, not because he knew Kelleth, but because grief recognized grief. "I was angry," Tavi whispered. "Angry he left. Angry at myself for not stopping him. Angry at the world for taking him." She let out a shaky exhale. "And then Pipper was looking at me with her big eyes, asking where her father went. I did not have the words." She lowered her head. "I still don't sometimes." Brennan took a slow breath. He knew the feeling of not having the right words. He knew the weight of being unable to change the past. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I know," Tavi answered, her voice soft. "You understand." She turned slightly toward him. "I can see it in you." Her eyes searched his face, gently, not demanding. "You carry something heavy too." Brennan looked down at his hands. Scars ran across his knuckles. Marks from controls gripped too tightly during evacuation flights, from impact, from debris, from mistakes he could never undo. "I used to fly military rescue," he said. His voice came out rougher than he expected. "We went into burning ships, damaged stations, battlefield debris fields. We saved the ones we could." He paused, swallowing tight memories. "But we didn't save everyone. And the ones you don't save, they stay with you." For the first time in years, he let himself speak the words. He waited for judgment, pity, or fear reactions he had seen before. But Tavi only nodded, eyes soft and full of understanding. "You did what you could," she said. Brennan almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it had been so long since someone said that to him. They stood shoulder to shoulder, not touching, but close enough for warmth to drift between them. "Pipper thinks you're brave," Tavi said quietly. Brennan shook his head. "She thinks I'm tall. That's enough for her." Tavi let out a soft laugh. A small sound, but true, surprised them both. For a moment, Brennan simply watched her. The way her wings relaxed for the first time that evening. The way the glow from the gardens reflected in her scales. The way she looked lighter when she laughed, as if the sound pushed a shadow away. "I haven't heard you laugh in a while," he said before he could stop himself. Her cheeks warmed with a faint shimmer of color. "And I have not had much reason." She glanced at him. "But you bring something different into this home. Something softer, safer." Brennan felt his chest tighten. Not with pain, but something warmer, unfamiliar, something he had almost forgotten how to feel. "I don't know what I bring," he said honestly, "but I like being here, with you, with Pipper. It feels like a place you can breathe." Tavi finished. He nodded. They returned their gaze to the gardens, letting silence settle again. But this time, the silence was not heavy. It was comfortable, shared. After a long moment, Tavi spoke softly. "I was afraid of tonight, of talking about Kelleth, of remembering." She folded her wings tighter. "But you made it easier. Thank you." "You don't have to thank me," Brennan said. "You helped me too. More than you know." Tavi looked at him, her expression gentle and warm. "I am glad. Truly." The sounds of distant engines hummed like quiet thunder. The station lights shifted to a deeper blue, signaling night. Neither of them moved to go inside. For the first time in years, Brennan felt that he wasn't standing alone in the dark. And for the first time since losing Kelleth, Tavi felt she wasn't grieving alone. On the balcony, under the soft glow of the gardens, they stood together. Two people with broken pasts, finding something fragile and warm growing between them. And when Tavi laughed again, just a little, Brennan realized he hadn't heard a sound that beautiful in a very long time. Part 7. Months passed quietly, the kind of months that slipped by without anyone noticing. Brennan still flew cargo runs, but fewer now. He chose routes that kept him close to the station, the place that felt more like home than any other he had known. Tavi never asked him to stay, and he never said the words out loud, but both understood the truth. He stayed because he wanted to. Pipper grew bolder with him. She clung to his arm when the station halls were crowded, made him taste every strange snack she found, and proudly told anyone who would listen that Brennan was her favorite tall person. Brennan tried not to smile too much when she said it, but Tavi always noticed, and her eyes always softened. As for Tavi, her health continued to steady. The color returned to her scales. Her wings held less tension. She laughed more often, though usually quietly. And she trusted Brennan enough now to rest when he insisted on carrying heavy crates or fixing broken lamps. One cycle, the memorial gardens prepared for a special night, the anniversary of Kelleth's passing. Glowing lanterns were placed along the walkways, their soft light turning the air gentle and warm. The whole district moved slowly, respectfully. Tavi dressed in a soft wrap of pale green, a color of remembrance for her people. Pipper stayed close to her side, unusually calm. Brennan walked with them, unsure of where he fit, but wanting to be wherever they were. When they reached the center garden, Tavi carried a small lantern shaped like a curled dragon, Kelleth's family symbol. She whispered a few words in her language, her voice trembling but steady. Pipper held her own lantern, decorated with messy paint strokes and shiny stickers. "Daddy liked stars," she said, though she had few memories of him. "So I made stars. Lots of them." Brennan knelt beside her. "He would like this one, Pipper. It looks like it can light up the whole sky." Pipper blinked quickly, her eyes wet. "You won't leave, right? Some people leave on sad days. Mama says it's not their fault, but I don't want you to." Brennan didn't answer at first. Not because he didn't know, but because the words felt big, bigger than anything he'd said in a long time. He lowered himself until he was eye level with her. "I'm not good with perfect words," he said slowly, "but I am very good at staying. And I'm staying, okay?" Pipper sniffled once, then nodded hard, her little claws clinging to his sleeve. Tavi watched, her breath catching. Something changed in her eyes. Something deep, something warm, something she had been afraid to feel again. When the lanterns were released, they rose into the air like small suns. Tavi let hers go last, her hands trembling as she lifted it. Brennan gently steadied her wrist, not guiding, not controlling, just there, supporting. She didn't pull away. Lanterns drifted upward, glowing softly until they vanished into the higher levels of the station. Pipper wiped her eyes and then, suddenly determined, turned to Tavi and announced loudly, "Mama, I think Brennan should be my new papa. He stays, he helps, and he's not scared of your cooking anymore." She paused. "Also, he lifts heavy things." Tavi froze, wings snapping tight against her back. Brennan almost choked on the air. "Pipper," Tavi began, flustered, her cheeks glowing bright with embarrassment. "What?" Pipper demanded, claws on her hips. "It makes sense. You like him. He likes you. He makes you laugh. Also, he fixed our whole balcony. That's papa work." She nodded as if the matter was settled. Brennan stood there, stunned, warm, terrified, and strangely hopeful all at once. Tavi's eyes flicked to him. They were wide, vulnerable, searching for something. Fear, rejection, confusion. But all she saw in him was quiet honesty. He didn't step forward. He didn't step back. He simply stayed. And Tavi, though shaken, didn't scold Pipper this time. She didn't dismiss the child's words. She didn't run or close off. She only whispered, "We will talk later, little one." Pipper huffed, satisfied but sleepy. Soon she curled against Tavi's side, tired from the emotions of the night. As they walked home, Tavi held Pipper close with one arm, her other hand brushing against Brennan's every few steps. Neither pulled away. By the time they reached their door, Tavi looked at him with a question in her eyes, but she did not ask it yet. She only said, very quietly, "Thank you for staying with us tonight." And Brennan, feeling the weight and warmth of the night settle deep into him, simply answered, "Always." Part 8. The night after the memorial passed slowly. Brennan returned to his ship, but for the first time the silence inside felt too big, too empty, too far from the warm glow of Tavi and Pipper's little home. He sat on his bunk, staring at the small calming plant Tavi had given him weeks ago. Its soft scent filled the air, gentle and steady. He finally understood something. He didn't just enjoy being with them. He needed them. Not in a desperate way, just in a quiet, human way. The way someone needs a place to belong. Meanwhile, Tavi sat on the edge of her bed, Pipper curled beside her, asleep from the emotional day. Lantern light memories still shimmered behind her eyes. Pipper's bold announcement echoed over and over in her mind. "Brennan should be my new papa." The words had shocked her, but not because they were impossible. Because they were dangerously close to the truth she had been trying not to admit. When morning came, Brennan returned to their home with breakfast pastries from the market. Pipper devoured hers immediately, crumbs sticking to her scales. Tavi tried to act normal, but her wings twitched and her tail curled with nerves. Pipper eventually ran outside to play with other children, leaving Tavi and Brennan alone. Silence filled the room for a moment. Finally, Tavi spoke. "About what Pipper said last night." Brennan's chest tightened. "Yeah, I figured we should talk about it." Tavi looked down at her hands. Children speak from the heart, but her heart is young. She does not understand the things adults understand. The fear, the risk, the pieces of a life that must fit together. Her voice softened. "But she is not wrong about everything." Brennan swallowed. Which part wasn't she wrong about? Tavi lifted her head, her eyes full of something raw and honest. "You do stay. You do help. You do make our home lighter, safer, warmer." She hesitated, wings shivering slightly. "I am afraid, Brennan. Afraid of replacing Kelleth. Afraid of opening my heart again. Afraid of losing someone else." He listened, every word settling deep into him. "But," she whispered, "I am also afraid of pushing away something good, something real." Brennan stepped closer, not touching, just near enough for her to feel his presence. "Tavi, I don't want to replace him. That's not what this is. And I don't want you to pretend old wounds never happened. But," he exhaled slowly, "I want to be part of your life, yours and Pipper's. If you'll have me." Tavi's breath caught. "I'm clumsy with feelings," Brennan added quietly. "I'm slow, and I'm not great with fancy words. But I'm good at staying. I'm good at trying. I'm good at caring. And I want to try with you. With both of you. Tavi's hands trembled. Then, very slowly, she reached out and placed her hand over his. Her scales were cool and soft. His skin was warm and rough. The two textures met like pieces that didn't match perfectly, but somehow still fit. We do not have to rush, she said softly. I don't want to rush, he answered. But we can try? She whispered. Brennan nodded, a gentle smile warming his face. Yeah, we can try. For a moment, neither moved. The world outside continued. Children laughing in the corridor, vendors calling out in the market, the hum of the station engines. But inside their small home, time slowed. Pipper burst back inside suddenly, dragging a drawing she had made. Look, it's us, Mama, me and Brennan. He has big eyebrows, she declared proudly. Tavi choked on a laugh. Brennan rubbed his forehead self-consciously. And look, Pipper pointed. I drew us as a family. She looked up at Brennan with complete trust. You are staying, right? Because I already glued you into the picture and the glue does not come off. Brennan looked at Tavi. Tavi looked at him. And for the first time, neither of them felt fear. Brennan knelt in front of Pipper. I'm staying, he said softly. As long as you want me here. Pipper squealed and hugged him so tightly her wings fluttered. Tavi watched them, her heart full and trembling, but no longer with grief. Later that evening, the three of them walked together through the station. Pipper skipped ahead, swinging her tail happily. Tavi walked beside Brennan, her arm brushing his lightly. Neither pulled away. Brennan looked at the two people beside him, one small and full of energy, one gentle and brave, and felt a warm, steady certainty settle into his chest. This unexpected family, formed from a blind date gone wrong, grief carried for years, and one bold little dragon girl, this was where he belonged. And as they walked home, Tavi glanced at him with a small, hopeful smile. The blind date, she said softly, may have worked after all. Pipper shouted from ahead. I told you it worked.